Welcome to We Love Soaps TV. I am Roger Newcomb.
I'm Bhattacharjee, news editor for Soap Opera Weekly magazine.
And I'm Damon L. Jacobs, author of Absolutely Shoulдлess, The Secret to Living the Stress-Free Life You Deserve. I'm so excited to be here with you two. Now I know what you look like. It's amazing.
Exactly. So we have a great show lined up for you today. We have an interview with Guiding Light stars Lawrence St. Victor and Karla Mosley, who are now starring and producing their own web series called Wedlocked.
That's right. We also have a very Braeden on the street segment of We Love Soaps, where we went to Times Square and asked people, how recognizable is Eric Braeden really? You may be surprised.
Right. We also have the latest hot topics from the world of soaps. And to kick the show off, I went to the set of Gotham this weekend. This was the first weekend of production.
Did you meet Batman?
No, but I met someone even better, Martha Byrne.
Yay! In many ways, she's like the symbolic Batman of the soap world right now.
8-time Emmy nominee Martha Byrne, and I was interviewing Martha and Anne Sayre, and they starred together on As the World Turns as Rose and Mitzi.
Right.
You guys will remember, and now they're starring together again in Gotham. But as I was interviewing them, we were interrupted by another star of Gotham. You'll find out. Watch this clip. Hi, this is Roger Newcomb live on the set of Gotham, and I'm here with 8-time Emmy nominee and 2-time Emmy winner Martha Byrne.
Hello.
And the beautiful and talented Anne Sayre.
Thank you.
So, Martha, I wanted to start with you. Mm-hmm. Since leaving As the World Turns in 2008, you have done you've done some acting, theater, General Hospital, but you've also done some behind-the-scenes work. Mm-hmm. You produced an independent film.
Yes.
Or you produced a short film with Paul Eden. And now you've written for Bold and the Beautiful, and now you're producing, writing, and starring in Gotham.
Can I take you everywhere I go? It's like before I walk into the KFC, can you just introduce me that way? That's fantastic.
What's it like being on the set of Gotham, knowing that you wrote the show, you're producing it? Is it extra stress for you?
I'm really not under any stress. It's just I have some wonderful people working on the show that I have to stop myself from multitasking. It's kind of in my blood to try to control a lot of different things. So I am trying to let that go and let everybody do their roles so that we can just focus on the work. Just the acting part of it, which is in the end of this, that's the most important aspect of the whole production.
Right. So was it important to you to surround yourself with people you were familiar with and had worked with before?
Absolutely. I mean, Lisa Brown and I talk every day, and we've worked together on many projects together, writing, and she's just an incredible talent. And Anne, we've always kept in touch since we worked together. We loved working together. So I've always wanted to work again. And, when you leave a show, you've been on for so long, you think the sadness comes over you. Oh, you'll never get to work with these people again. You'll never get to see them again. And that's not true. It's just maybe in a different way. So that's how this kind of all came together.
Right. So, Anne,
yes.
Soap fans probably know you best as Mitzi Matters from As the World Turns. And Rose and Mitzi, Martha played Rose. You guys had immediate chemistry on the set, and you stayed several years as Mitzi. How is the chemistry different now that you're starring on Gotham with Martha?
You could answer that. She's got a good perspective on it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was sort of going into this wanting it to be different, knowing that our natural chemistry, professional chemistry, was going to be there, but I wanted the energy to sort of be different, and so I wasn't exactly sure what this was going to be, but I knew what I didn't want it to be. And what it wasn't going to be was, Mitzi's whole thing was admiration. That was sort of my inner dialogue all the time. I loved Rose, admired her, wanted to be her, wanted her to be happy, that was always my motivation. And this character, I think, is a little bit more self-interested, though there's still a love there. I don't want it to come off, I think that's where the chemistry comes from, is the actual affection that we have, or anybody has, when you're doing partnership of any kind, friendship, romance, whatever, you have to have the love between you.
And Lisa Brown was saying the same thing. She said, you already have the chemistry. It's like working with Michael Park. Like you already have a love for him in your life, so you don't have to try to show the audience your love. It's there. It's just innate in your body. So don't try so hard. And I think that's been the biggest challenge on this particular show is the
speaking of
I'm over here tearing up.
Don't cry, Michael.
Hi everybody. How are you?
Good.
Yeah?
Would you like to take over?
May I? Sure. What is this? This is great. We love soaps.
yes.
Sing us a song.
I love a parade. I'm going to tell you, the reason why the camera's so high is because they don't have shoes on.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd see. Ooh, it's freezing outside. I just love what you're doing with your lesbian story.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're bringing it to the internet is outstanding. So how long have you been lesbians? When did you? When
the story is going.
When did you come up with this concept? Do you even know when you came up with the concept?
Alex Rolsvig, Alex
Yes.
Werner Rolsvig,
Yes.
and I, we were.
Who's not here? Who should be?
Who should be here? But she's in Long Lake, New York,
Should be watching this.
taking care of the town and showing it how it's done. Fantastic writer, and we just were in love with soap opera and Guiding Light, and we talked one day about characters we wanted to see. This was like
Right.
over a year ago, and we just we came up with the concept. We wrote a script, wrote the pilot, and shopped it around, got some great response, but the deal never came through. So the two of us were out in Los Angeles, and I had pitched it to another executive in daytime that said soap opera is the temperature, that was a good word.
But you had this kind of idea brewing at the same time.
Yeah, always. So you're very good at this, by the way.
she's been teasing me.
Right.
Yeah, like I wanted to do something.
And so
year and a half, like,
so you had
for you. I'm like,
you had
what
her
is
in
it?
mind the entire time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
And you knew about this as well.
I did. I just didn't know what it was.
So I was the last one invited to lunch.
Well, the two of us always have stuff going on.
no,
Brewing.
no, it's not true.
Always things brewing.
So you both have amazing families. You want to talk about that for a while? Because we don't really talk about our own families all that much. And, we're away from our families right now doing this, and I know your beautiful Johnny's probably missing you, right?
Yes, he is.
And he is how old now?
He's 5.5.
5.5.
Yes.
Yes. In what grade?
Barbara Walters.
He's in kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
Yes.
Annabelle started kindergarten
Big
this year,
shout
too.
out to Mrs. Burke.
And everybody's happy and healthy and wonderful?
Oh, everybody's good. He misses me so much that when I called home during the break, he said, "Hi, Mama," on the phone. And then we talked for a second, and he thought I had hung up. I said, "Bye, I love you." And I hear him going, "So, Daddy, as I was saying, we're..."
Who's played you?
Yeah.
That's great. So you have an inset of little Johnny there while we're talking about that. And you're beautiful kids.
They exited the building for the day.
Yeah, but they're rambunctious, I'll give you that. But I got to tell you, these kids have the bluest eyes in the world.
Oh my
and
gosh.
you have brown eyes.
I do. I have green
You have
eyes,
big
but
green.
green,
Well, no, they're brown
depends
today.
what you're looking at.
Right.
Sometimes you have green, and then sometimes
anything goes on the internet.
It's like a mood ring.
It's like a mood ring.
So yeah, but
Yes.
just beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. As are
kids.
yours.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks.
Fun kids.
Well,
Good
they're all
kids.
right.
We have good
They're okay.
families.
I let them out of the closet every once in a
Understanding
while.
families.
Yeah, they're
Very
okay.
understanding husband that I have that's letting
True.
us all be here. We have about 50
True.
people here right now.
And we had, what's great about the people that they have working on this particular show is that they're able to make a change in a flash. Today is a rainy day. All these scenes were supposed to be shot outside, right? How do you go about?
Yesterday was iffy.
Yesterday was the big. Yesterday was there were the important outdoor scenes, but this could have been outdoors
Sure,
as
it
well,
was warm,
right?
yes.
Now, what kind of changes do you have to go through to get all that done, an exterior shot into an interior shot?
Well, Lisa called me on Wednesday and said, okay, looks like it's going to be 90% chance of rain. We were going to shoot all of our exteriors underneath the porch, underneath the awning. We found a gazebo on our neighbor's property. We're going to shoot some of the scenes there. No umbrellas because they're too loud. So we were like, okay, we can't use umbrellas. We're going to have to play the rain. We had all these contingency plans going in case it rained, and we didn't have one drop of rain. It was beautiful. It was cold,
Right.
so we were bundled up with some
Right.
layers going on, but it was the heavens above,
Right.
And the heavens above.
But moving the St. Jude's party indoors wasn't even that big of a deal because you got a huge area here too.
Right, we
Huge.
cleared out the whole living room, and and everybody's.
And the extras are upstairs above in the room above the garage, which you could play. Hello, you can play You can play basketball up there. No, you can play basketball up there. I mean, it's a huge area.
But when you think, I have to ask you a question.
What?
I can throw a party.
Yeah, you can throw a party. Well, I don't know if they know that.
Throwing a party with cameras.
Anybody who's been to her St. Jude's event knows that Martha can throw a good party, but she's doing it this time in her house. And with the extras, you're putting on a show, so you've got to provide food and you've got to provide, the drinks and keep everybody warm and happy. And she's able to do that in the room above her garage.
Well,
which sounds strange, but if you were up there, like I said, you could play basketball up there.
Well, I want people to be happy.
Right. And everyone's up there watching the Giants. Everyone's up there watching the Giants.
We're going to get them back from lunch. But the one thing I learned from working on the short film with the producer that I worked with, she said, if you make your crew, you feed them well, and you keep them warm, make them happy.
What a crew you have.
I know,
so, okay,
wonderful.
Talk about this. You have the best of all the worlds here working on your show. You've got people from All My Children, ABC. How did you, what did it just take a couple of phone calls? What was it? How did you get them all here? It's Martha Byrne,
no.
How do you think?
No, but a lot of people don't know. We don't know each other. There's a lot of people I don't have relationships with, but sometimes you have relationships with the people that have relationships.
So it's like
someone else.
6 degrees of Martha Byrne.
But no, it's not that. It's a trust thing. It's a trust. Somebody says, "Trust me, she'll feed you well. Trust me, she'll take care of you." I'm not going to screw anybody over. I want people to have fun and enjoy themselves.
I guess we can encapsulate that in the one that everyone trusts you.
Yes, and she inspires people to, you inspire sort of loyalty and friendship because you sort of are, such a good friend. And, I think you just make people want to do anything for you because we know that you would do anything for other people. That's true. That's you in a nutshell.
Thank you.
And there you have it.
Aww.
Wow. Like I said, wonderful. I started out crying, and I leave crying. For all of us at We Love Soaps.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Support. It's coming soon. Gotham.
Oh, Roger, that looks like so much fun. So, what was the set like?
Well, it was a pretty big crew. I mean, considering, they shot over the weekend. They shot 4 episodes.
Wow.
It was actually a pretty big crew. What I found was it was kind of more like an independent film. It was sort of like I shot my film. It was kind of like We Saw Imaginary Bitches, except they had a couple of cameras, and they did multiple takes of every scene, whereas we've been hearing on soaps, and the sets I visited, they do one take and out, unless there's some disaster. So
you're saying they actually had rehearsals and blocked out scenes?
Yeah, they blocked the scenes. They did multiple takes of scenes. I was hearing take 5, take 6, and I was like, what's going on? But the parts I saw looked really good, and I'm really excited for this show to debut.
Your interview looked like it was in somebody's living room.
Yes, it was Martha Byrne's living room, which was also cleared out, and it was a scene of a party. I guess I can say that.
Okay. Now, how did visiting this set compare to different sets that you visited before in the past?
Well, when I went to As the World Turns, everything was so fast. It was like, unless somebody really flubbed, unless something fell on their heads or something, they kind of did the scene and moved on. And plus, it was in the studio, 3-walled sets. Very small 3-walled permanent sets, whereas this was kind of like a real place, but the atmosphere is much more light. I mean, it's not that people don't have fun on soap sets, because I know they do, but this was definitely much more light and fun, and I think people were really excited about the product. They're really excited about the writing and Martha's script, and everybody was really behind it. It wasn't really so much about money or a job, because who knows where the money's going to come from for some of these indie projects. Sure. But everybody seemed to really have a love for each other and a love for the project, so that was really nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, that's good to know that there's a lot of people out there that are really trying to preserve the quality of soap. Because in my opinion, especially this last week, I want to bring up something that's really been bothering me. The way, so women on soaps, I think in the last 15 years, the way women have been treated has gotten worse and worse and worse. But I think especially this past week, thinking about the way Barbara has been treated on As the World Turns, and especially on General Hospital, which is never been, well, never in the last 10 years, been something that has been kind to women, but the way they've degraded the character of Claudia to, trying to blackmail Dominic into having sex with her, and the way she's pleading for it and degrading herself, I'm kind of disgusted. I mean, this is supposed to be a medium where they're appealing to younger women and they want them to watch. I don't get it. What's the appeal?
I don't know either, and it's something that I'm frequently bringing up in the magazine when I talk about women's issues and how this is a genre geared towards women that really does women no favors. I mean, women are constantly portrayed as being manipulative, desperate, pathetic, having to beg men for sex, or be, handled or controlled. And, the character Claudia is a great example of where, General Hospital went wrong, writing a strong woman. I think conceptually, you could see Claudia as this strong mafia princess who could go toe-to-toe with Jason and Sonny, and really just, but that, the character became just yet another one of Sonny's disposable girlfriends. And then, of course, when it became clear that wasn't necessarily working, pairing her romantically with Sonny, automatically it's like she's sacrificed on the villainous altar, and it becomes all the more pathetic and desperate. And it's a shame, because I think there was so much potential there. And there's nothing wrong with being a capable female villain. I mean, I loved Faith, Cynthia Preston's character from a few years back, who was an awesome, deadly Black Widow. I just loved that character. But again, she could not be shown as being better than or stronger than Jason and Sonny.
Right.
And ultimately, was sacrificed for that.
Right.
And I think Claudia, fell victim to the same thing. And there's always an instance on soaps, not just General Hospital, to have the man be the victor. The man has to win every scene, every love story, every, and that's just, it's very sad. And then with Barbara, it's kind of different. There was a sort of, fond, but yet also, I can see where you're coming from in terms of being offensive, mocking of her sexuality as an older woman.
Right.
And, again, like, it's just that, what's wrong with it? Why can't she be having hot sex with Henry at her age? I mean, was there really a need to have both Katie and Vienna kind of be like, really? You?
Colleen Zink-Pinter is totally hot, and we've seen her up close and personal. We interviewed her at the Emmys. We interviewed her at the Broadway Flea Market. She's looking better and better. And I think a young male suitor for Barbara would be fine. Except they're playing it for jokes. They're kind of making fun of it, and I think maybe the actors are having fun, and I think Colleen's having fun. But as a fan, I'm kind of offended by it too. In terms of, I begged the show to write for Barbara, and I really want to see Barbara, but then when I get Barbara, I'm not happy with what they do with her. So it's
that cougar trend right now. Like, everyone is jumping on it and kind of relishing it. And unfortunately, the term cougar itself, to me, is derogatory. Like, to imply that a woman over a certain age is like this prowling tigress or some kind of cat, predatory, going after a young male.
Well, I mean, it's all context, and I think our culture is really ambivalent about this term and about embracing women's sexuality of all ages, but especially women over 40. I think it's all context. If you're using cougar as a way to, make a woman a metaphor of an animal, then that can be very insulting and degrading. If you're using it as a term of empowerment to say, here's a woman who's in control and knows how to get what she wants and isn't afraid to go after it, then I think that's a very, very powerful image. It very much kind of just depends on the source. Yeah. I think the way Barbara's being portrayed on As the World Turns is not one of empowerment. She knows Henry's not interested in her. She knows he's into the money. She's sleeping with him anyway. And this is a character that we've been watching for over 30 years, and I just think it's really degrading to her and to her history. I mean, if anything, Henry, needs to be pleading for her attention. But instead it's sort of like she's playing this game with him, and she's acknowledged, I mean, much to Colleen Zink-Pinter's credit, she's lent dignity and integrity to this, and she even said to Lisa, I know he's not into me, but come on, this is Barbara Ryan. Why are not all the men in this town running after her? I mean, come on! I
mean, it's something that I frequently, whenever, I talk to the gang over at B&B, like, I love Jackie and Owen, but to some extent Jackie is also portrayed as needy, as demanding Owen's attention and being insecure about it. Mm-hmm. But to me, Jackie's fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, Leslie Ann Down's awesome, people.
Yeah.
And just like Colleen Pinter. And why do we have to see, them begging for it? I mean...
and this is new. I mean, I just want to point out, this is a new phenomenon on soaps, because in the 90s, when there were plenty of women who were involved with younger men, but it was told in a way that really respected the character's dignity. I'm thinking of Donna Love on Another World, Vanessa on Guiding Light. Oh God, there was one that I just forgot about.
Even on As the World Turns, Lila and Casey was an older woman, younger man story, and on As the World Turns, Susan and Larry. Yeah.
Oh, and Dorian on One Life to Live with Joey Buchanan. I mean, that was very much told from a respectful point of view.
Yeah. I mean, again, I love Henry and Barbara for the laughs, and I love Jackie and Owen because they're fantastic together and hot, and it gives Leslie and Dallon's story. But they're both. These are all, and then there's Ryan and Erica on All My Children as well. It's like, you just want them to focus in and tell the stories with a little more dignity.
And I mean, this is actually the one thing I think All My Children is getting right, is actually telling the story so far with Erica and Ryan with respect to both characters. I seriously doubt that's going to last. But so far, I think, okay, we got to do it. No, I never thought I getting the Roger Newcomb. See, I'm so glad now you can all see the Roger Newcomb face that I get when he disagrees.
No, I actually do like that story. I'm just thinking if it's as long as Who Killed Stewart, then we might actually get somewhere in it in like 10 years. Because, yeah.
Well, speaking of Dorian, I also wanted to talk about a story that I'm enjoying very much, which is the mayor race on One Life to Live. And the way this has involved now so many characters, including the long fight between Vicky and Dorian, and One Life to Live is now the only soap that is telling a story about 4 gay characters. And what I love is that they're not just gay characters for the sake of being gay. They're very, very, very diverse gay people. And this is very much mirrors what we see in reality. Gay people are not all just like, people like, on other shows that are doing a good job portraying gays and lesbians, but they seem to be sometimes very similar. And One Life to Live, you see the differences. You see how Nicholas Rodriguez's character is very like gung-ho activist, yeah. And, Oliver Fish just wants to sit back and, drink a beer and fight criminals. And he's not really interested in being
not
an
at the
activist.
same time, because that would be
not at the same time. But, you really see differences in real life in that community, too. So I'm just amazed to actually see this being portrayed like that.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the One Life to Live story. I know when the news about Dorian running for mayor and pretending to be gay with her campaign manager came out, a lot of people were worried about it. But I think they're going to tell it in a respectful way. I mean, we have people that, real gay people involved in the writing of the story and real gay people starring in the story. So I think there's a comedic aspect, because anytime Chuck Watkins and Robin Strasser are together and any of these, there's going to be comedy, but I think they're going to be very respectful. And One Life to Live is doing a good job, in my opinion.
I mean, I think that there obviously needs to be a little bit of vigilance, because it has the potential to go completely off the rails. I still remember David Vickers, the Buddhist, and that still smarts, and
Are you a Buddhist?
I'm not Buddhist. I was raised Hindu, but
okay.
But still, you kind of watch those kinds of portrayals on TV, and you're like, "Ow,
I know.
No, stop, please."
Well, there's so few portrayals of certain things on TV.
Right.
Like when American, when As the World Turns, how many other rocky female characters were there on TV?
Exactly.
So then you're really sensitive to it, and then when they make a joke of it or they aren't really sensitive to it, then it's more insulting, and people say, "Oh, it's just a soap opera storyline," but it's like the only story on TV.
Exactly. So that's why I know a lot of people are wary about the Dorian's big gay wedding story, and I don't blame anyone for being a little cautious. But I think the fact that it's kind of educating through laughter, which I'm a huge proponent of. Anytime you can reach out to people by making them laugh, I mean, oftentimes that really gets them more engaged than when you're just lecturing them about an issue. And if you can reach people through laughter, and then also be telling simultaneously be telling the story of the triangle of Kyle, Nick, and Fish, while this is going on, then you've got incentive to tune in for that as well. So I think it also has a huge potential for success. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Well done so far. Well done.
Let's talk about more good news. Days of Our Lives ratings.
Yeah. Good for them.
From last year to this year, they've gained over 500,000 viewers. And
is there any other show doing this?
No, not even close. But in the world of 3 million viewers is very good in soaps. Gaining 500,000 viewers is a huge, significant chunk of viewers.
Yeah.
And the show's up for renewal again in 2010. So this is a very good thing for Days of Our Lives. And it was also the first full week of Crystal Chappelle, baby reveal to EJ, and a lot of good stuff. And it was good.
What do you think of Crystal Chappelle's return so far?
So far, I'm intrigued, and I like the direction it's going, and I'm so glad that Days of Our Lives is making these strides. It's really encouraging to see a show, that people are tuning into. I know a lot of people were scared, when there was the en masse, veteran departure, and thinking that, the show's going to tank now. And the fact that, it has succeeded, is a wonderful thing, for it. And I know a lot of people are often like, if my favorites aren't on the show, then I hope it gets canceled. And that's really a sentiment that we never actually want to put out there. Yes, it's terrible when your favorites leave or when a storyline doesn't go your way, but you should never, ever root for a show to get canceled.
Well, in this past year, we've seen actually the opposite. So many people said that they wouldn't watch if Deidre Hall and Drake Hogestyn weren't on, or Stephen Kayla left, and of course it's turned out to be they've gained 1 million viewers regardless.
Exactly. So something worked for the show, and it was able to recover from losing, all those vets. And people are tuning in, and I don't know if they're tuning in because EJ learned about the baby, or because Crystal Chappelle showed up. Hi, Otalia fans,
it's built steadily.
Or
this is
Chad
the good
and
thing.
Mia and Will fans. I mean, who knows?
But I feel good about this because it's not just like a spike one week in the ratings. This has been a slow progress over the past year.
I would love to know exactly what it is too. What storylines are people keying into, and exactly, is it like a huge Maggie contingent? Is it like
Yes, I think it's Suzanne Rogers fan base stepping up.
It's Suzanne Rogers. That's why everyone's tuning in. It would be great to kind of get a demographic breakdown of what people are responding to on Days, because maybe that's something that we could apply to other shows and be like, what is it that Days did?
I'll tell you what I think. I think it shows that regardless of who's on the canvas, if you tell good stories, even if they're old-fashioned stories, because the baby switch story is really old-fashioned, but it's been told so slowly, so progressively, beat by beat by beat, that every time someone's about to find out, you're in suspense. And they're building tension based on characters, not on plot, not on plane crashes, not on tornadoes. They're building it based on character choices.
Right.
And I happen to think that's what leads to an increase of viewers. But to get back to Carly, I'm really enjoying Crystal Chappelle's return. Some people are complaining, she's not interacting with the cast, she's not part of the town. But hello, this is a soap. It's, they're building this slowly. I love that Carly was very much a strong woman in Salem, and she would take charge of situations. I mean, I remember a storyline when Isabella was pregnant, and Carly had to carry her. I forgot why, but Carly had to carry her through the snow and into a cabin and break down the door in order to get her to safety. That was the tough cookie Carly always was. And I feel like that's the Carly we're seeing now as she saves Rafe's life and she gets him on the boat and she's saving him, and she's willing to forego her own legal safety to save this person. That's the Carly I remember. So I feel like they are writing to the integrity of the character.
And integrating her with everyone else will come. Right. Don't doubt that. It'll come. She'll get involved with everyone you expect her to get involved with. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, like you said, you're building anticipation. Exactly. When is she going to see Bo? When is she going to meet Hope for the first time?
Right.
Exactly.
Vivian's coming back at some point. When is that going to happen?
Right.
So there's so many things to look forward to while you're enjoying Crystal Chappelle. And Crystal Chappelle is great. She could be sitting on a plane for 3 months and I would watch it.
Just keep the drinks coming.
And I think
keep the drinks
did.
Coming. Yeah.
So let's talk about everybody's favorite subject, Eric Braeden. So we talked a little in our previous show about a lot of his exclusive interviews. He's given a few more exclusive interviews since those exclusive interviews, and I think he's doing more exclusive interviews this week.
I think he's going to be addressing Congress soon, actually.
But he talked to Entertainment Weekly, and apparently this was the end of the line. He's out. It's over. He's not coming back, at least for now. I still think it's a big blow and very sad.
A couple weeks ago when I was on the podcast, I said, I echoed that sentiment, and I said that, he's very much, because of the way the Y&R canvas is built right now, very much the center of it. He's very much the heart of it, because they've connected almost every story to Victor, and every important story. I mean, I don't think he's really involved in the Deacon Tironi painting story, but but almost every story, and so how do you extricate that, that character and keep going? And it's going to be a challenge for them to reshape the canvas, and figure out, who's going to kind of take that spot, and I guess they have to perform their own transplant.
But do you have any opinions about what happened and how the actor handled it and how this has all gone down?
I think it's just an interesting commentary on how fans and the press and how we as a culture and a soap community, see actors and actresses, and their contract disputes. I thought it was really interesting that when Melody Thomas Scott was going through something similar, and when Jess Walton was going through something similar, most of the response you saw from media and from fans was, suck it up and take a pay cut. It wasn't this whole, Y&R can't go on without them, so give them whatever they want response. But then when Eric Braeden comes up with the same drama, everyone's saying, oh my gosh, the show can't survive without him, give him whatever he wants. And I'm like, why can't women on daytime have that kind of resounding response?
Well, for the record, I said the same thing about Melody Thomas Scott, but for Jess Walton, I said Brenda Dixon forever.
I said the same thing last week, but in opposite. I felt a lot more sympathetic to Melody Thomas Scott and Kim Zimmer when she was in a similar situation, Robin Strasser when she was in a similar situation. I'm more like, I don't think these shows can function without these women. I was kind of opposite with Eric Braeden. I did not have a lot of sympathy, and wasn't really that upset about him leaving the show, sorry to say. But I do want to say this, since the last week, since we talked about this. I feel like because of all these exclusive interviews he's been doing, I have a lot more understanding and a lot more respect for where he's coming from. And as someone who recently left a job under vaguely similar circumstances, I kind of feel like, it's like we all have a right, no matter what our jobs are, to be treated with a certain level of respect.
Absolutely.
And if you don't think you're getting it, then we all have a right to walk.
Absolutely.
So see you later.
Bye.
No, it's hard because, a lot of people in the country right now are being treated a lot worse than Eric Braeden was, a lot worse than I was, and they can't walk. And I feel really, sympathetic for that. On the other hand, why would he? I mean, the guy's 69 years old. Why would he put up with bullshit, with bad vibes? Am I allowed to curse on this show?
I don't know. I guess
probably not.
Probably not.
Why would he put up with negative energy?
Yeah, but I think it's as I said, it's an interesting question that whenever contract talks come up, whenever this kind of stuff happens, there's a lot of it's just interesting to see people's response and how they and who they'll say needs to just negotiate and do whatever and come back to the show, and who they'll say needs to be paid whatever.
It is interesting, and I think in the press, the press does seem more sympathetic to men than women in this case. I'm not sure why.
At least in the online community, I think all of these stories have been much more compelling to fans than the actual storylines on the show.
Well, that's the truth.
So it would be nice if the shows were so compelling that this was just like a side thing. Like we hardly noticed it, but this is much more compelling than anything we're seeing. So.
I mean, it's like I think we all agree that the best thing about All My Children this past year was the off-screen drama and guessing who was going to go to LA and who wasn't. I mean, that was really compelling.
And who was
drama.
doing Shakespeare and who was performing not Shakespeare. Okay, so.
But speaking of Eric Braeden, so I did, I thought the man can be a little bit big for his bridges or his mustache or whatever. And I challenged Roger because I was like, I don't really think people recognize Eric Braeden outside of the soap community. So I challenged Roger to a bet in Times Square to see if more people would recognize Eric Braeden or Geraldo Rivera. So we went to Times Square to find out. Check this out. Well, Roger, I'm really, really troubled by this whole Eric Braeden situation. I mean, I understand what you're saying about him being a financial commodity and being worth all that money, but I tell you, I don't think he's really that recognizable.
You gotta be kidding me. Eric Braeden is a star well beyond soap operas. He was in Planet of the Apes, for goodness sakes. I bet you anybody here in Times Square would know who Eric Braeden is.
Look, the guy's even done an episode of Wonder Woman. He has my respect. All I'm saying is, I think outside the soap community, even Geraldo Rivera is more recognizable than Eric Braeden.
Geraldo Rivera hasn't done anything in 20 years. Give me a break.
Well, I'd say let's put that to the test. We're here in Times Square, and I want to find out, would people recognize Geraldo Rivera or Eric Braeden?
Would you like to make a little wager about that?
Yeah, I'll wager you.
Let's see.
Let's find out. We've got this mustache and this mustache. Which will people know better? So do you recognize either one or both of these gentlemen?
I recognize Geraldo Rivera, and I know this man's face from the soap operas when I was younger.
What is his name?
I don't know if it's Damon. He's been around a long time.
He played in stories.
He played in the stories, right?
Yes.
Do you remember his character's name?
He's his name is Karla. No. Oh my God, what's his name? This is so nerve-wracking.
Do any of you recognize one or both of these men?
I recognize one of them. This
Which
is
one?
Geraldo Rivera.
You recognize Geraldo Rivera? Okay, what about the other guy, the other mustache? Do you recognize the other man?
He's from a soap, but I don't know which one.
No idea.
No idea?
It might be General Hospital.
Of these two men, do you recognize one or either one of them?
One,
Which one?
Victor Newman.
You recognize Victor Newman?
Yes. Otherwise, the Black Knight.
Do you watch him on The Young and the Restless?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, how about you?
No, not really. But I know him just by looking at the show. I don't really pay attention to The Young and the Reckless, but I know it's
Okay.
Victor.
Now, does this guy, in any way, do you recognize this guy at all?
No.
No, huh?
This is
Well, you do recognize Geraldo Rivera.
Yeah,
Yes.
of
News
course.
reporter.
Yeah.
The other guy, the other mustache here. Do you? But you know he's from the.
he played in Days of Our Lives. Right? Isn't that right? Days of Our Lives, right?
Give us
Both of them.
You recognize both of them. Who are they?
That's Geraldo.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know his real name, but he plays Victor on The Young and the Restless.
Wonderful. You recognize both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize either one or both or neither of these men?
No.
No? All right, Sal. So I'm asking people today if they recognize one or either one of these gentlemen or neither one.
Geraldo?
You're right, Geraldo. And who's the other guy?
Geraldo?
You think they're both Geraldo?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So who do you recognize here? You recognize him?
Yes.
Who is this?
Rivera.
Rivera. Very good. Who is this?
Don't know.
You don't know who this is.
I recognize Geraldo Rivera.
You recognize Geraldo Rivera. What
Yes.
about the other guy?
Not really.
Doesn't ring a bell, huh? How about for you? Ever seen him? No? Okay. Well, one of this guy, this is definitely Geraldo Rivera, but do you recognize this guy as somebody else?
Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds. Not quite. You see, his name is Eric Braeden, and he's on Young and the Restless.
Exactly. I knew it. I knew it. I recognized his face from somewhere.
Oh my gosh! Stop it, you guys! That clip was awesome. I loved it. I loved watching you guys, especially seeing the hand and being all cozy. It was kind of adorable.
That was really fun. We're all going to try to fit into the hand next week, right?
Absolutely, Mala.
Woohoo! I can't wait.
So we got a lot of diverse answers, as you can see.
Yes, true, Roger. And if I'm not mistaken, I won the bet. Not many people. Well, let me say it first. I think I won the bet, but a lot of people did. A lot more people than I thought would recognize Eric Braeden. And even if they didn't exactly recognize the face, they did recognize that he's an important part of the soap community. So I wish him the best. I wish him peace. I hope he finds peace back on our screens at YNR sooner than later. But
I'm not so sure you won. But anyway, let's move on to our interview with Karla Mosley and Lawrence St. Victor. They started as Remy and Christine on Guiding Light, and I really love their chemistry.
And they're taking that chemistry now, and they're starting a new web episode of series called Wedlocked. And again, this is really, really exciting because we're seeing more and more a lot of these very talented individuals in front of the screen and behind the screen on soaps, taking their talents to the internet and the web to tell new stories that we haven't seen before. So here's a sample of that interview.
Well, Wedlocked, actually, the idea came from my mother. She said, my mother has a million ideas, and she said, you and Lawrence should do a spin-off. You guys need to keep working together. And I said to Lawrence, oh yeah, my mom was saying we should do something together. And he's like,
Ding, ding,
that's a great idea. Hello. Why didn't you tell me this 5 months sooner? And so we started kind of brainstorming about what stories we'd like to tell and what's missing, we think, in television today, and what our strengths are, and we came up with Wedlocked.
Yep.
What is missing in television today?
I feel like television today, everything's about, this is probably going to sound dramatic, but almost the deconstruction of the marriage and family. Everything's about these teens getting in trouble and divorce and people who are single that can't find love. And I'm like, where is that place where you see two married people trying to work it out? Where is that place where a family is going to stay grounded and rooted no matter what? Where are our Cosby shows today? And we thought in playing Remy and Christina, because through all their complications, they stuck together. Even when they didn't want to, they stayed together. So we thought, she's recently married, and I've been married for 2 years, so we have a lot of stories just about men and women and miscommunications. But when you're married, it's like we got to figure this out.
But that's the ultimate goal. Is they're a team. They're working together. Robbie and Denise are the two main characters in Wedlocked, and that ultimately they love each other. And that's what our director really has been working on a lot. It's just okay, so they're going through these things, but we never want to feel like they're really in trouble. We always want to be rooting for these people and feeling like ultimately they love each other, they're having fun.
Like that. Now, you mentioned you have a director. You're both producers of this show.
Yes.
Right? Okay, and this came about once Guiding Light had been canceled. You two started brainstorming, kind of out of the ashes.
Well, we found out about the cancellation April 1st, and I guess you told me your mom said this like around June, July. But her mom really told her this like
in April.
So I was like, why didn't you tell me this? But yeah, and even with Crystal's show and our show, we just like working with each other. Most importantly, like the Guiding Light cast is really a tight cast, and the idea of never working with each other again, or the idea of having to wait and hopefully fate will put us in the same. We're like, no, let's work on something. Let's work together, and then we got the content. Your mom gave us the content, so smooth from there.
And it's been exciting to bring other people in because everyone's been really excited about the project and wanting to work, and it's been so easy. It's been a lot of hard work, to have a promo together and kind of 5 little webisodes shot after finding out in July that we were going to put this project together is pretty incredible. But it's because everyone is so excited about it and wanting it to be successful, including the fans.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you see as the advantages to doing a web series versus trying to go directly to television with this?
I think a web series lets it be interactive. We were setting up many things where characters will tweet, and Robert and Denise will tweet about what happened in an episode, or we can create a video vlog of them talking, or just having the characters interact with the fans in a way that they just can't do on television. Our vision is to have these characters be part of your family. So where soaps make it so they're with you, doing a web series is like they're more than in your living room. They're sitting right next to you.
And also, I think for the artist, it's a certain amount of control, that we don't have to wait on a network. We don't have to listen to executives telling us, we'll pick up your show if you cut that character and, wear a string bikini and, whatever it is, that we can really do the episodes that we want to do and play the way that we want to play. And also, as far as the interactive aspect of it, we can listen to feedback from the fans and then include that in our episodes and shows, which is really lovely as well.
It's great. You mentioned control. And I imagine having been actors on a daytime soap opera versus being producers on a web series must be a very different experience in terms of having input and creative control. You don't have the networks and the producers and the sponsors to answer to. You get to tell the story as you want to. What's that like?
I loved it.
I imagine.
I love it. But that's nothing against, our experience as just actors, because on Guiding Light is where I really studied the producers, especially in the new model, the new format, on how they shot and how they got everybody together and the decisions they made. And I would often, talk to them about it and talk to directors and just get their different feels. So I learned so much there. But, hello. But having control, and it's not so much having control because it is a team. It's me, Karla, we have 2 other producers on this. So we're getting to sit down and bounce it around without a network saying, we need this by this time, or it has to be done we just say, you know what, let's figure out the story first. Let's get the story. Let's take whatever time we need for the story. And I feel like that freedom is what we may not have when you have just other corporations looking also at the timeline of what you got to do, but it's that time.
And it goes both ways, it's like we have the artistic freedom, but we also are the people who have to get it done at the end of the day, you know? So there's something really wonderful about just going and doing your job and going home, but it's another thing when you go in, you do your job, and then you have to make sure the promo gets out and make sure, you know, because if that doesn't get done, no one else is going to do it for us.
Right.
So that was part of our interview. They're such positive people. I really love talking to them.
Yeah, they really are. They're very creative. They're very bright. They have so much energy. I can't wait to see what else is going to happen from those two.
November 1st, coming soon to saint-victor.net.
Yes. And people can see the link on our website.
Exactly. That's all about our show this week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
That was fun. Thank you.
Come back for us and for the hand.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.